All right, everybody, welcome to the show. So, I got an interesting email. I just want to start it off. And this is the reason I'm even doing this, because I'm trying to determine if this is real. Now, I consulted with ChatGPT, as any abnormal person would do, to try to see if the email I received was legitimate. And I had ChatGPT do the research, because I'm lazy, and I'm also paying $20 a month for it. So, I use it as a private eye, a detective, when I need it. Anyway. So it appears by majority that this is legit. I'm not going to show the email, but I will read some of it. Um, I want to read the original email. I actually totally spaced on this email. I didn't even look at it. I thought it could have been spam at first, but I was like, oh, wait a minute. Defiance ETFs. Okay. So it's from Larry Richter. He's the director of marketing. Now, first, before I read any of this, let me just give you a heads up on who Sylvia Jablonski is. I'm pretty sure I'm saying her last name wrong. Sylvia Jablonski. Now, she's the founder of Defiance ETFs, founded in 2018. They're basically a leading provider of exchange-traded funds that focuses on thematic and income investing. The company aims to offer investors exposure to dynamic sectors driving disruptive innovations, including artificial intelligence, quantum computing, 5G, hydrogen energy, and electric vehicles. They do offer a wide range of ETFs. The company is led by Sylvia Jablonski, the CEO and CIO, who is recognized as a pioneer in the ETF industry and frequently appears on financial news outlets like CNBC and Bloomberg. Defiance ETFs aims to empower investors, and this is all just kind of from sources like the org, aims to empower investors by providing them with tools to invest in the cutting-edge sectors that are shaping the future. Now, the truth is, you can get exposure to a lot of these through the QQQ, even the S&P 500. Now, there may be some companies that, maybe they don't have a large enough market cap. To get there. So it is possible that the Defiance ETFs may be your best option. Now, I do like the fact that they have enhanced options income ETFs. I do enjoy derivative income, and I do enjoy outsourcing that ability. For instance, I love covered calls. I actually do enjoy it, and it's not hard to do. If you own the bare minimum 100 shares of something, you could do a covered call against your own using 100 shares or more, well, at the bare minimum 100 shares as collateral for a call contract that you would write against them. So for example, let's say I bought let's say I bought 100 shares of Tattooed Chef, right? And then I decided, or hell, 1,000. Let's say I got 1,000 shares of the bankrupt company Tattooed Chef. And then I decided to write 3 call option contracts and sell them for a premium. That is what we would call derivative income. It's a form of it. So I wouldn't be doing a covered call on my entire holdings of Tattooed Chef in that example. I'd only be doing it on 30%. But a lot of these funds do it on 100% of their portfolio only because they're designated specifically to be covered call ETFs, and that's it. And it's good. I think it's good to have covered call ETFs in a portfolio. I really do. I don't think it's a bad thing, especially during tough times. Like if the markets are down, you can get some really nice money off of those premiums. And a lot of them have and a lot of these ETFs that do covered calls set the expiration date usually about 30 days out for the call contracts they write. So it's that's why they're able to give out basically a monthly dividend. All that income gets sent to you in a dividend. Now it's not tax effective. It's not tax efficient. You get taxed on it, but it is nice to have when times get tough, because you'll basically, if the market was to go down and you've written those call options, well, you're gonna be able to take home the entirety of the premium. It's kind of nice. It's good income. In the meantime, you could take that income during a bear market and buy more of like the S&P 500 or just more companies in the S&P 500 or just great companies in general. Whatever you want to do, totally up to you. It's your money, use it when you need it. Okay. JG Wentworth, baby. Anyway, so let me get to the email. We know that Sylvia is the CEO. So a CEO and chief investment officer of Defiance ETFs wants to talk on my show. I don't know how to feel about that. I feel good. I think it's cool that somebody sees the content that I'm making and understands exactly where I'm coming from. Now, let me read what Larry Richter sent me 5 days ago that I totally did not mean to ignore, by the way. Good morning. We love your content on options income products. We want to offer you an exclusive interview with Sylvia Jablonski, our CEO and Chief Investment Officer at Defiance ETFs. Let me know if you're interested, and we can set up a quick call to plan the interview. Looking forward to hearing from you, Larry Richter, Director of Marketing, Defiance Analytics. Now, here's the second email, and this is my fault for failing to respond to the first one, but Larry's a good sport. It's cool that Larry reached back out to me. Larry says, good morning. I wanted to reach out again to follow up on my email from last week. Your insights into passive income strategies caught our attention, and we want to offer you an exclusive interview with Sylvia Jablonski, our CEO and Chief Investment Officer at Defiance ETFs. The problem is, I don't think, and this is the saddest part about this, I don't think I'll be able to do the interview at a time that'll work best for Sylvia. Well, I might. So I'm on Pacific Standard Time. I don't know. I'm assuming Sylvia's on the East Coast because she probably goes to the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, quite a bit. So she'll say she's 3 hours ahead of me. The interesting good news I can say is that I work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which means I might be able to do an interview at 8 in the morning with Sylvia. Now, I'm still working it out with Larry. Now, this may not happen. I just want to let you all know this may not happen. And honestly, as much as I would love to be able to speak with the CEO of an ETF, I don't want to shill any products. I want to say that right now to all the Defiance people, people out there. I'm not shilling a product. I don't want to. I do want to hear what the CEO has to say about the products. Absolutely. The products have not been around long enough the ETFs have not been around long enough, in my opinion, to prove themselves. It is good to take a deep dive into any ETF. By the way, I'm just cleaning this real quick. I realize this is just so dirty. But yeah, it's just cool to be able to speak with with somebody who, does. Sorry, you guys, who does covered call options for a living. The whole idea of being able to speak with somebody like that is very tempting. Now, I think it's not just that. The Defiance ETFs, from what I've been able to see, don't just live on derivative income. There are some that are, very focused on specific companies, specific sectors. They seem to want to do disrupting, and I'm fine with that. I think it's interesting. Me personally, I really am just a simple index ETF investor is what I really boil down to. I love any company that pays a dividend. I do love covered call ETFs. I ain't gonna lie. I like anything that gives me some sort of derivative income. I don't riddle. Now, here's the thing. I do not riddle my portfolio with covered call ETFs. I think that's a bad idea because you still want something that'll grow over time. You want a dividend that'll grow over time. You want a company to increase in value over time. That's important. So Well, having covered call ETFs is nice, especially during bear markets. To have exposure to them is very handy. Because having a covered call ETF versus doing the covered call strategy on your own using the call options, it's so much easier to outsource it to an ETF that does exactly what it needs to do in an automated way. Because it's not really difficult if you have the underlying capital to do exactly what a fund says it's going to do. The fund has enough money to make it all happen. From what I've read so far about Sylvia, I watched a couple interviews. I didn't like spend too much time watching, but I will admit she definitely seems like, I don't know. There does seem to be some parallels to Cathie Wood a little bit. I will admit. I'm not the biggest fan of Cathie Wood, but hopefully, I think it does appear that based on the interviews, Sylvia keeps an open mind, which is good, about different strategies. But ultimately, I believe in massive diversification, massive exposure to different assets and different asset classes. I'm not just exposed to stocks. I'm exposed to ETFs that expose me to other things, essentially. But I'm exposed to bonds. I'm exposed to stocks. I'm exposed to precious metals. I'm exposed to other commodities, oil. I'm exposed to real estate through real estate investment trusts. Those are stocks, but whatever. What I'm trying to say is I'm exposed to multiple sectors. I'm exposed to multiple things, and I try to expose myself to multiple asset classes through the use of ETFs. I even and another way I could expose myself to options writing in a lot of ways without doing the writing myself, because I don't have to write any of these options contracts, is to have covered call ETFs in my portfolio. I think it's great. I think it balances it out. It gives you a source of income during a bear market, and you can use that income to buy shares of companies that are usually undervalued during a bear market, especially good companies. If the stock market crashed today, man, I mean, I already buy stocks 24/7. I'm always investing in ETFs and all that shit. But what I'm really doing majority of the time is I'm just doing my thing, I think it would be cool to have Sylvia on, and from what I've watched, I don't think I necessarily agree with all of. I probably would not agree with Sylvia's philosophy in investing all the way. I think I understand it though, but I don't like bringing people on to agree with them. I really don't. I'd rather. I want to hear people speak their truth. That's important. Speak your truth. As Gary Busey would say, speak your truth. And once you speak your truth, I'll speak mine, and we'll talk about stuff. We'll debate stuff. I try not to be too much of an ass kisser when I'm talking to people. So hopefully Sylvia comes on. I would actually, honestly, that weirds me out that a CEO, I mean, not in a bad way, weirds me out, but like, it's odd. You don't every day, a small channel like mine doesn't get that kind of attention from a CEO of anything. But I do think it's because I do have a certain way of investing that is appealing to some people, and it's basically spread out your risk through diversification. The future is uncertain, so you should always be diversified. I don't care how well you think you know a company. It's good that you do, but you should own as many companies as you can. Sometimes even investing in something as simple as the Vanguard Total World Index, whether it's Vanguard Total World Index is 60% US, the total US stock market, and like 40% like international. You got the Vanguard ETF that's completely international companies, and then you have the other one that's basically the complete stock market, US companies essentially. But the goal in my mind is just to be exposed to as many different ETFs as I can. ETFs that make sense, that are not completely stupid. But not particularly care how I weight my I don't really care how my portfolio is weighted. I just want to make sure that my risk is spread out as far as it can be spread out. I understand there will always be volatility in my portfolio. Always. There's no avoiding volatility, in my opinion. Even if you're, but the volatility was where the magic happens, in my opinion. When the price of a great company goes down in the markets, it should be seen as a discount. Now, it depends on what the news is. Sometimes news can be detrimental. But sometimes news is just bullshit rumor mill shit, and you just need to buy. I'm not saying what companies to buy, but I love buying during bear markets. I am a bear market buyer. I buy from the bear, and then I never sell. I'm in so here's the thing. I'm in the business of buying stocks and ETFs. I'm not in the business of selling them. I take the dividends that come to me and I reinvest in other companies that I particularly like, other ETFs that I particularly like. I stay smart about it. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that Sylvia can come on. I would really enjoy the opportunity to speak with her because it's not every day you get to speak with a CEO of an exchange traded fund. And the Defiance ETFs, I may not agree with all the ones that are created. I think, while I love the tech industry, I love the tech sector. Even though I'm not big on portfolio weighting, I don't think you want to be overly weighted in the tech sector. I do believe in overweighting. I don't believe in underweighting, though. So here's the thing. So you're probably wondering, well, how can you believe that overweighting is a bad thing and believe that underweighting is a good thing? Well, I believe it's better to have exposure to as many things as possible and try your best not to put all your eggs in one basket is really the key. My eggs are spread across so many goddamn baskets. It's insane. So even if you destroy a couple of my baskets, that's okay. Hell, destroy 10 of them, 20. I don't care. My risk is so spread out that one of the main reasons my portfolio withstands a lot of the negative volatility out there in the market is because I'm just so spread out. I spread these cheeks anyway. So I'm really hoping. I will say that Sylvia or Larry, if you guys end up watching this episode, I'm very open to hearing what you have to say about, well, anything really. I think it's cool. Obviously, people who get into a CEO position have earned it to a point. I think it would be fascinating to talk certain theories with her. Because honestly, it's I don't know. It's really cool. I've just never. I don't think I've ever actually. Well, hold on. Have I spoken with a CEO before? Maybe not in real life, but I think I've emailed. I got an email from one at one point. Anyway, so it's a first time opportunity for me as somebody who has never been to Wall Street. I have never been to Wall Street. I've never even been to the East Coast in my life. But I am proof that you can, get wealthier and wealthier without ever having to step foot on Wall Street. You just need to have a brokerage account, reputable one, in my opinion, a reputable one, and just a willingness to save your assets and not your cash. That's my simple philosophy, man. I save my assets. You should always save your assets. Because if you don't, you're gonna get your ass pounded by inflation. Stocks and real estate are definitely are things that protect against inflationary forces. So I don't know, but we'll take a look at who Sylvia is real quick. So I put some photos so that way you guys get an idea. I mean, look up her interviews. She does have some interesting things to say, and it would be cool to go on like a Zoom or a what do you call it? Oh bloody hell! It's not a Zoom meeting, but it's a StreamYard, using StreamYard to live broadcast and speak with this person. But yeah, I don't know. Is she a grifter? We don't know. I will never accuse anybody of that, but I think it's a good question to always ask about any person who's about to come on. Are they a grifter? I don't think so. I'd like to believe that I think it seems she created the ETF with the best these ETFs with the best of intentions. So here she is. Yeah, this is her. I mean, I don't want to play any videos of her because YouTube has been really finicky with me lately, and they've been like trying to copyright strike me and give me bullshit things. So all I could do is like really show photos of the person. So yeah, this is the person that has shown interest. Surprisingly, I'm still shocked. My show is the weirdest show on finance because I don't promote penny stocks. I don't promote bullshit. I just promote diversification on the massivest levels. Having as many different ETFs that don't suck, by the way. You got to figure out which ETFs are good and just buy a share. Fuck it. Just buy one share. We live in the no commission age. If you want to be diversified, hell, you don't even need to buy index ETFs. You could just buy one share of every single company that happens to be good and have positive cash flows. Having said that, though, I still love buying ETFs. It's like it's a basket of stocks at a discount. Or not at a discount. I should rephrase that. It's a basket of stocks that I could buy into that's affordable. Instead of having to buy a single share of 500 companies, for example. Because let's say I wanted exposure to the S&P 500 at the most minimal scale on my own. I would have to buy one share of each of those 500 companies. Damn. Well, that would cost a lot. Or instead, I could buy one share and keep accumulating more shares of an exchange-traded fund that is an S&P 500 fund that basically has all of those stocks inside of the fund itself and allows you to have direct exposure to them. So it depends. And now I'm an individual stock investor too. I buy individual stocks that I particularly like. I only usually buy at least a share, but I usually stack up on a lot of ETFs. I prefer dividend appreciation ETFs more than anything. Basically, any ETF that exposes you to companies that raise their dividend over time. I like that. By the way, as I always say, not financial advice. Not at all. I just have a firm belief in investing intelligently, spreading out your risk. And this is, by the way, I'm not the only one who says this. John D. Rockefeller, the reason he was one of the richest dudes in the world back in the day, and he would have actually probably been one of the richest people today, is he never sold his assets. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Once you buy your assets, never sell them, especially if they are cash-producing assets. John D. Rockefeller loved living off of his dividends, straight up. So, like, I really do, oddly enough, have a very John D. Rockefeller approach to investing. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the more I read about John D. Rockefeller, it freaks me out because I find I almost find a certain spiritual kinship to this guy. I've never even met the guy. So, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. So this is the person who could. I'm not even going to guarantee anything. I never like to guarantee anything on this show. But this person very well could be on the Michael Garza show soon enough. We don't know. There have been no promises, no guarantees. They could back out last minute because they... Honestly, I'm just going to say this right now, Sylvia. I appreciate you wanting to come on this show. I really do. More than I think it's cool. But just as a warning, as long as you're okay with having your reputation not tarnished, but like, I think coming on my show risks some reputation, it's not always a good thing. I'm a very loose cannon in the way I talk. I have a no filter, almost no filter. I like Trump, love Trump actually. So I'm just saying, don't want to tarnish nobody's image, but that's what you're getting when you come on the show. You're getting a guy who has this fairly odd diversification methodology. I diversify in a lot of strange ways, and I like sporadic weighting. I really do. That's why I have a whole bunch of different index ETFs, just because I think it's good to have variable weighting. One index ETF is going to be weighted a certain way, with certain companies taking up more of the index itself. Then you're going to have another index that has a different weighting in general. Maybe one ETF is Microsoft taking up 10%, and then maybe another ETF has only Microsoft taking up 4% of the overall weighting. So the point is, even though I don't really care that much about weighting personally when it comes to the weighting of my portfolio, I do like having multiple index ETFs, because it's almost like owning multiple portfolios in a lot of ways. So it's like, getting exposure to different portfolio types and taking advantage of the many advantages that those types of weightings may have, or disadvantages. There are some disadvantages. But I think being very diversified is the key. Always be diversified. I really can't stress that enough. So hopefully we can get Sylvia on the program. Hoping. But time will tell. Maybe we don't even have matching schedules, And honestly, getting the CEO of Defiance ETFs would, selfishly, I'm going to admit, would actually maybe boost. I wouldn't say boost the subscribership, but maybe the viewership in general. I don't think a lot of people want to subscribe to my channel. I'm a little crazy. But yeah, it may be an interview for the ages. I want to make it the best interview possible. So I definitely will try my best to come up with, it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that. It could be a double-sided interview where we just ask questions back and forth. The one thing I don't like about I prefer discussions more than interviews, because discussions, I will say, have a more back and forth. I feel like an interview can be kind of one-sided. Even if somebody's on my show, I prefer having them ask me a question, I ask them a question, we try to answer to the best of our abilities, we share our thoughts. That's kind of the goal. And this, maybe this show is more of a traditional podcast than it's intended to be. Yeah. So it will be fun to be able to speak with somebody who has a different mindset when it comes to investing in general. Because I think that from what I've been able to tell, Sylvia definitely has a different mindset than most. And I'm curious to hear why she thinks my investment philosophy is so interesting. And who knows, maybe my investment philosophy will be an influence on the Defiance ETFs in general. That would be cool. I ain't gonna lie, that would be like a super ego boost for me if my philosophy in investing actually should, I don't know. But yeah, my portfolio is definitely crazy. I wouldn't say crazy. It's really spread out. I believe you should be exposed to not only different assets, but you should also be exposed to different options strategies that are I would say stable-esque. Um, so, there's multiple ways. And I think, covered call ETFs give you a little bit of leverage on your existing portfolio, especially if you're already exposed naturally through normal index ETFs too, like the S&P 500 or the QQQ or whatever the hell. Blah, blah, blah. What I'm trying to say is I think it's good to spread out your risk. I think it's good to get dividend income. I love dividend income. I just can't help it. I think out of all the, I get taxed on it. Absolutely, you always get taxed, unless there's a legal trick that I'm not aware of on how to get out of paying dividend taxes. I just love using dividends. I use dividends sometimes if I'm really desperate, which I don't. I don't have to do this very often. But if I'm desperate, I can use the dividends that I made in a month and maybe use them towards paying off some of my car. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of options. There's a lot of ways to do this shit. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, you guys are incredible. I just want to say thank you to everybody who views this show. I don't believe I really deserve the. As long as I feel like just like Dave Ramsey says, I'm doing better than I deserve, and I really do feel like that. Honestly, I could have wound up in so many other areas of life that would have been so terrible, but I ended up just being a boring dividend investor. But I guess technically I'm more diversified than Strongman Personal Finance, though. By the way, that's not a dig at Strongman. I actually legitimately love the dude. I think Strongman Personal Finance is one of the best channels, by the way. So, actually, it'd be cool to see although Sylvia, I think, and Strongman might clash a bit on ideas, but Sylvia, it would be interesting for you to reach out to Strongman. I don't think he would like a lot of the covered call ETFs, and he might, who knows? I might not be the nicest person about some of the covered calls because there are some covered call ETFs. I don't think they're all created equal. And as far as Defiance ETFs go, Sylvia, it would probably be best if you educated me during one of these live Zoom style interviews. It would help. But I think it's cool though that she goes on networks like CNBC, and I even saw her go on a few of the smaller shows. She went on a show that had like 20,000 subscribers. I only have 2,000, by the way, 2,500 basically. So it's intimidating to a degree to actually have somebody who wants to be on the show that I'm not the most well-known person. I think I speak a truth though that is appreciated and probably relieving. I do tend to speak a little bit from the hip, but I do also speak with levels of experience and knowledge that I've learned from the giants, man. I've learned from the best. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, those guys. Oh, I've never met them in my life. But damn, with all the information, all the shareholder meetings I've watched from them, I feel like I've known them for years. But it's pretty cool. Even Charlie Munger admitted a lot of his mentors were dead. Basically, he loved guys like Plato, Aristotle, guys like that. He loved the philosophers, So sometimes your idols, their written work is the key. Sometimes their written work gives you a framework to work off of and really understand what they were thinking and how they did their thing. So, anyway, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to view this. I just hope you all have an incredible night. Bye, and hopefully we see Sylvia on here. If not, honestly, open invitation. Honestly, an open invitation to have just about anybody on here. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I enjoy discussing investing of all kinds, all sorts of philosophies with people, especially people who are really interested and really want to share their love of it and also their philosophy. I love hearing different philosophies. Every person I've ever spoken with, I've taken away something from them, and what I mean by that, taken away, I mean like learned something. I really took away from the conversation. Even if I didn't really agree with them that much, it was so cool because even if I disagree with 95% of what you say, there's 5% of what you say that may actually come in handy and useful. So I never dismiss anybody ever. It really is. I try not to, at least. And if I have in the past, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, check out her stuff. She's like, just look up Sylvia Jablonski on YouTube. You'll find all of her different interviews she's done on like CNBC and like Bloomberg and all that shit. So pretty cool. Anyway, though, you guys, I've talked long enough. Spread out your risk, baby. And look up John D. Rockefeller, by the way. Look up like a summary of how John D. Rockefeller invested. I'm sure somebody's made a compilation on YouTube or something about it. And you'll be like, okay, this is a good framework. So, hey, he was the richest dude alive. So that man understood investing principles. He understood save your assets, not your money. Money is worth